Hello and welcome to Rotted Reviews, and today I'm going to be taking the request of patron Shifty and reviewing the 1999 movie Lake Placid. Now before we get into this review, I do want to just take a moment and say, hi, how you doing? Happy Friday, you made it. I hope you're doing well, I truly do. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and put on our swim fins and jump into Lake Placid. Written by David E. Kelley and directed by Steve Miner, this movie takes place in, well, Lake Placid, a nice little slice of heaven, a beautiful lake surrounded by nothing but lush trees, an idyllic nature spot for anybody to just unwind and relax, unless, of course, they're attacked by a massive crocodile. Now, it's not immediately known that this was a crocodile attack. All we know is that bodies and parts start showing up. So the investigation begins, and it's headed by Town Sheriff, played by Brendan Gleeson, as well as Fish and Game Management by Bill Pullman, and a paleontologist played by Bridget Fonda, all of whom are shortly accompanied by mythology professor and crocodile enthusiast and bit of a nut job played by Oliver Platt. Now, I remember when I was 19 years old and this movie came out in the theaters, and I was just in love with it. It was fun, it was a great creature feature, big monster movie that had everything you could hope for. It had a sense of adventure, it had body gore mayhem, it had a great sense of humor to it, and it wound up doing so well that it actually managed to spawn 5 sequels, including Lake Placid, the final chapter, and then obviously 2 more after that, as is tradition. But I'm not going to do a franchise review of this just yet. I'm only going to be focusing on the first movie here, which I, again, absolutely adored. Every time I watch this, and it's been several times now, individually or in group settings through watch parties, things like that, I just love it more and more. And I always find just a little bit something extra in it each and every time. And I think no better example of that can be found than the last time that I watched it, which was actually as a member of Nightmare Maven's Patreon and a watch party that she hosted of this, which, by the way, is a great channel. I do recommend checking it out. Great Patreon as well. The Discord chat is very kind, it's inclusive, it's knowledgeable, wonderful folks there. But as I was watching it in that watch party, all of a sudden, new revelations started to get made, not just with me, but with the entirety of the group, and that was just how much chemistry and electricity there was between Brendan Gleeson and Oliver Platt's character. This was a romantic story if I've ever seen one. Give it another watch. Make no mistake, it's there. I guarantee it. They're antagonists, they annoy each other, they push each other's buttons, but there's something under the surface there. There's some pigtail pulling as they're fighting with themselves about what they're feeling towards each other.
I brought a pork chop for luck. Maybe you could hang it around your neck.
That's sweet. Maybe later you could chew the bark off my big fat log.
Was that like a homosexual remark?
I try to keep these spoiler-free, and in doing that, I usually kind of describe the first 5 to 10 minutes of the plot and then leave it alone from there. And I'm going to keep doing that for this one. There's more that I would love to explore as far as just really getting into it. Maybe at some point I actually will do a full franchise review of the Lake Placid series, in which case I will roll up my sleeves and really dig in there. But suffice it to say, for a spoiler-free review, I love this movie. This is one of the best examples of fun, silly, creature feature movies that blend practical effects, CGI, humor, good characters, and just an overall sense of fun and surprise and excitement. That's not to say that it doesn't have its bad points. It does, and unfortunately, as much as I am an absolute Bill Pullman fan, I have to admit that one of the bad points of this movie is that his character was pretty much almost pointless. There really just wasn't a whole lot given to him. It was mostly just kind of a counterbalance to Bridget Fonda's paleontologist character, who by all rights just shouldn't have been there in the first place. And I'm sorry, but when you have a character that's barely able to justify their own presence at an active crime scene...
Look, I won't interfere. And if I do, you've got a sheriff handy to arrest me. But I understand if I threaten your Fish and Game authorities.
It becomes a little flimsy as far as any kind of interaction that you have with them or any connection that you have with them. And I really just don't think that this movie would have succeeded had it not been for the characters that did pop, and I think most notably among them was Oliver Platt. Yes, he was an absolute asshole in this movie, but he was so great as an asshole.
You are a saucy flirt.
the sense of lunacy and mirth that he brought to the table every single time that the camera was on him, well, it just made every scene involving his character pop, but it also did wind up making him steal every scene. So that really didn't help the whole Bill Pullman, Bridget Fonda situation. And even though it's not in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the movie, I really don't think that I could talk about Lake Placid without bringing up the late, great Betty White, who had a very minor role in this, but absolutely stole the show. She was one of the aspects of this that when people left the theater was absolutely the words on the lips of people talking amongst themselves. And if you've never seen the movie, it is important to remember that prior to Lake Placid, at least outside of the circle of comedic entertainers out there, she really was known for her wholesome image and her silly, meek pleasantness that was brought to the Rose character in The Golden Girls. So when she did show up in Lake Placid and she was the character that she was, it took a lot of people by surprise in the best way possible. And I think that changed a lot of how she chose to be portrayed in the public eye from then on out. So as a fan of creature features and big monster movies, one thing that I've learned is no matter how good your effects are, it's really not going to add up to a whole lot if you don't have characters to ride along with, solid characters. The movie doesn't have to go for a high art drama, there doesn't have to be a ton of conflicts and resolutions and character growth, but you know, they're largely there to get attacked and either attack back or become food. But it does help to have them be dynamic and engaging. And in my opinion, out of all the creature features that are out there, Lake Placid is one of the ones that does it best. And I think that for me, as much as I think this is sacrilegious for a lot of folks, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think that that is one of the elements that puts this movie heads and tails above Rogue, which I did enjoy when I watched it a few years ago, but I really don't think it lived up to the hype that a lot of people tried to sell it with. So thank you to Shifty for recommending the 1999 movie Lake Placid. I'll never turn down an opportunity to watch one of my favorite creature features, so thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you out there for watching this video. I do hope you liked it. If you did, please click like and subscribe. And if you want to support me further, keep this channel and these videos going, maybe try clicking the Patreon link down below. We have all sorts of great stuff. Watch parties, Discord benefits, all starting at $1 a month. So please take care of yourselves, have a great weekend, and remember next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.